Coming up, why America isn't working part 4, and workers are now demanding a workplace reset. What does that mean? We'll look at it and then get into the why behind these demands. That matters to you. Let's go. Helping you win in your work life so that you're winning in life. I'm Ken. This is the Ken Coleman Show. All right, we've been in a series called America Isn't Working. And we're really getting behind the why. Why America isn't working. Now, this is not a political point of view. This is a work point of view, but it has political elements to it. So let's look at the problem, shall we? There are multiple problems here, and today's problem is entitlement. America isn't working because there is a entitlement cloud hanging over our country. It's just a cloud, and it's just hanging, and it's just sitting there. And so it has now been hanging over our society for so long that it has turned into policy and behavior. So let's break down the entitlement problem. First, welfare isn't fair. The welfare state is one of the biggest entitlements that has caused America to not work. And I mean literally here. Now, if you look at phase-outs of programs like cash welfare, food stamps, the earned income tax credit, and the Obamacare subsidies, here's what it actually looks like. It means that households that have an income between $10,000 and $40,000 can lose almost the same amount in government benefits as they gain in income. Now, let's just pause right here for a second. These are welfare programs that aren't fair. What do I mean by that? Well, the welfare program has promised to give people a hand up, except that it's truly a handout in this regard. So let's say you're in that income, your income altogether between $10,000 and $40,000, and you have government entitlements. If you actually get your life in a better situation and you begin to earn more money, as you earn more money, you lose all of these benefits that you had. And when you have been in a situation where you have largely existed off of government subsidies, entitlements, it is a powerful, powerful hurdle for the mind to get over. Well, let me give you an example for those of you who've never been on welfare, so that you can understand our brothers and sisters that are in this environment. And I'm not blaming them. In fact, I'm coming to their defense. But let's just look at your world. Okay, you've never been in welfare at all. But you'll call my show and you'll say, Ken, I've got 2 job offers. The one job, it's actually a better job. I really like it. But I'm really considering the other job because the other job has better benefits. I get that call all the time. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. You should never take a job based on benefits. You should take a job on the now and the next. Is it the right now that gets me to the ultimate next? Benefits take care of themselves. But you love that safety net, don't you? Just the very word, benefit, insurance. I get it. It speaks to our safety gland. So these men and women, if they get a better job and thus a better life, they end up losing all of the benefits that they consider and they are their safety net. And so what does it do? It de-incentivizes a better professional and financial life. It de-incentivizes better work because you go, well, at least my basics are taken care of by these government entitlements. And if I move on, I lose all of those things. I'm penalized by getting out of the situation. That is the psychology. This is documented, by the way, by Gene Sterling of the Urban Institute, and the Federalist reported on this. Now let's look at another problem where entitlement rears its ugly head. This is in unemployment benefits. A 2022 working paper found that terminating emergency unemployment benefit programs caused a substantial increase in employment. This is from the St. Louis Fed. Of course it did. You take away their unemployment benefits and they go, I got to go to work. Yeah, of course you do. I'm reminded of John Smith in the very first colony in our great country of America, Jamestown, founded 1607 on the peninsula of my homeland, the Commonwealth of Virginia. And John Smith, in your history books, you learned about John Smith, who was in charge of that colony of Jamestown. And there was a whole lot of apathy and pacifism and griping and complaining because Jamestown wasn't what it is today, this beautiful little place along the river, the James River. It was a swamp full of mosquitoes and creatures that were nasty. And these guys were griping. And John Smith said, here's the deal. If you don't work, you don't eat. So he took away the food, and guess what happened? They started working. Take away the emergency unemployment benefits they're just government handouts. And necessary at times for some, but most of the time you can do without them. Folks, I've been fired twice. I never took unemployment benefits, didn't need to. Oh, it's because you're wealthy. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. In fact, I had 3 kids. So spare me. Spare me the whining. Let's go to a third factor of entitlement. Pacifying parents. Entitled children who have been entitled in the home. This is not a government problem. This is a parent problem. Parents who don't introduce work at an early age, who then don't require kids to actually work. Parents who increasingly are not kicking their adult kids out of the house. This is entitlement. Entitlement. They've been entitled. They've been given everything their whole life because we parents in today's world care more about our kids feeling good than teaching them how to do good. Helicopter parents, always hovering, always ready to pull Johnny and Susie out of the pain. And you know what's happened? We got weak snowflake adults. Last one, socialism. The popularity of socialism, which is an absolute ideology from the pit of hell that leads to communism and the repression of men and women all around the globe. In 2019, listen to this, 39% of all U.S. adults viewed socialism positively. Of course they did, because the sneaky part of socialism is we just give from the government, other words, entitlements, and get people weaned on them, get people an appetite for them, scare them half to death. The almighty government comes to help. Now that number has ticked up to 41% according to Axios. 41% of Americans view socialism as positive. Let me tell you what that sets up for and why America isn't working, because there are a lot of people that are just waiting for universal income to become a thing. And in the United States right now, you look it up. You don't believe me? Look it up. There are multiple municipalities in this country that are trying out universal basic income. And obviously, they always promise it to the poorest of us with the idea that it's going to be for the rest of us. Let me tell you something. We got to cut the tether to government. Less government, more community and faith-based local businesses and people taking care of the least of us. That is work, and work helps. Work is good. Don't rely on the government. Helping you win in work so that you're winning in life. I don't want you to get to the end of your journey and look back as so many of the dying in these hospices tell us. They look back in their life and say, I regret that I didn't live the life that I truly wanted to live. And your work and your contribution is a massive part of that. So I'm here to help, and I'm going to help define the matrix for you. help pull you out of the matrix with a lot of common sense. If you're enjoying the program and you're watching via YouTube, will you help us grow? You can do that by liking the video you're watching, subscribing to the channel, and sharing. And then if you're listening via your favorite podcast app, give us a follow, a 5-star review, and share the show. All right, here we go. More common sense coming at you today. New headline from a Fox Business article, employees are demanding a workplace reset. I chuckle when I hear these things, that employees are demanding things. This is not student government. This is not a political environment where you can walk out on the streets of this great nation and protest and make a sign up and do whatever you want. This is a workplace. A workplace is not a democracy. It's just not. I don't know where we have gotten in this country where so many people think that their workplace is a democracy. Well, this is what I think. Great. In a healthy environment, you should be valued enough to where your thoughts are listened to. But there is a massive difference between me sharing my thoughts to Dave Ramsey about what I think. And by the way, I do. I've been in many a meeting with Dave where we've disagreed. And we have a lot of mutual respect for each other, and it's not ugly, but he's a very strong opinion. And if you've watched this show long enough to know, I got a strong opinion. But it's not a democracy. It's just not. So if Dave and I are in a meeting and we're talking and we're disagreeing, Dave does value my opinion. He absolutely does. And I share it. And it's up to him whether or not he agrees with it or not. And if he disagrees with it, and he has many times, and we go a different direction, there is no protest. There is no demand. Or else I wouldn't be sitting here today. Am I that old school? Am I seriously so fundamentally rooted in common sense that I'm an outlier? Tell me in the comments, especially those on YouTube, as I think this younger generation sees that completely different than I do. No, let me explain this. As long as I'm respected and valued in that he doesn't treat me in a harmful or disrespectful way. He listens to my thought. I give him my thought. He respects it. We go back and forth. And at the end of the day, the buck stops with him. He makes a decision, or whatever leader in this company makes a decision, and I have to get along with authority. That's the way it goes. Now, if I don't like it, I can leave. There's a novel concept. So this whole premise right now, this is stuff, this is real. Okay, I've got data. And this is a really, really silly notion that I can just demand my employer do things. No, you can't. Yes, I can. No, you can gripe and act like a child or a teenager. But a demand is, I'm demanding this and you do it. They don't have to do it. So let's look at the data. The firm Edelman the firm is Edelman. They have a annual survey they do called the Edelman Trust Barometer. This is fascinating. Listen to this. They surveyed over 7,000 employees worldwide. The United States, United Kingdom, Brazil, Germany, Japan, China, and India. 72% of the respondents said it is more important than ever that employers rethink what work means to employees. Okay, no problem with that. Sure. I actually go at bad leadership and unhealthy companies on this program all the time. I'm not going to stop. Because we have an epidemic in this country of leaders whose heads are in the sand and they don't value their people. Now, that is true. But then now we start getting into, that makes common sense. But now we've got some snowflakery that is spreading across the globe. By the way, if you're new to the program, you want to know what I mean by snowflakery. It is mamby-pamby whining weakness. That's how I defined it. People who can't handle change, people who can't handle tough times, people that just need everything handed to them in a neat little tray with the dividers and some sweet music. You know what I'm talking about. By the way, if that bothered you, what I just said, you are a snowflake. If that came across as smug or whatever little adjective you want to throw onto that, number one, I don't care. And number two, you are the snowflake. So freaking sensitive. I'm offended. I don't care. You have every right to be offended, but you don't have every right to make everybody else not offend you. Move on. Don't hang around people who offend you. We don't need to cancel anybody. Why don't you just turn your attention somewhere else? I got off on a rabbit trail. Back to the data. 67% said they are reevaluating how they spend their time. This, again, not surprising. In fact, I think the number is probably a little low because during the pandemic, everybody reassessed because we had all this change forced on us. And so we didn't have to consult whether or not we wanted to change. Life changed dramatically in our work world. And so we started thinking about, how do I want to live my life? That's very normal. Now, career advancement, number one issue. This is what they expect. Employees want their employers to know that they believe that the employer should be addressing career advancement. 83%. By the way, I agree with that. People need to see a ladder. They don't want a better job. They want a better life. Leaders, pay attention to this. Personal empowerment, 80%. Societal impact, 71%. All strong expectations when considering a job. Now, let me break this down for everybody. Personal empowerment simply means I want to know that you're going to give me the tools, the resources, training to do my job and let me go do it. There's a lot of autonomy that we humans want around our work. Very normal. Now, this is where it gets snowflakey. 61% of respondents said, this is across the 7 countries, said they're more likely to work for an organization where the CEO speaks publicly about controversial issues they care about. Now, this is where we've gotten out of whack. 61% across the globe want their CEO to get on television or get on social media and take a side on a controversial political issue? It's mind-numbing. Ask Bud Light and Target how that's working out. Bud Light literally pissed away their loyal customers. Why? Because somebody inside their organization said, I want you to take a stand on the transgender issue. And it turns out people just wanted to get cheap, bad-tasting beer. They don't want to talk about that stuff. They didn't say they were for and against it. They just went, I come to you for bad, cheap beer. Target, we come to you for household supplies and my favorite loofah. I don't come to you for your opinion on any social issue. So, but this is a problem. And so we have weak leaders who go, well, my employees want me to talk about it, so I'm going to go do it. And then you lose stock price, you get crushed, you can't give away the beer. Now, in the U.S., it's only 51%. If you just pull out the U.S. number, 51% of U.S. employees want their CEO to speak out on political issues, then run for Congress, run for president. Edelman CEO said of the survey, as for the CEO speaking up and speaking out in public manner, there is change. Republicans and independents, these are employees, Republican and independent-leaning employees are cautious about their CEO speaking out, but Democrats seem to want more CEO activism. So this is about ideology. People that are more conservative go, you know what? Politics is over here on these channels. Over here, I just want to buy the beer. Liberals are like, hey, I want everybody walking to the same tune. And that ain't America. And it ain't good business. right, time to help some people get where they want to go, to do what they were born to do. Let's go to Emily, who joins us on the line in Des Moines, Iowa. Emily, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken. How are you today?
I am living the dream. What are you doing?
Oh, just recovering from a long 3-day weekend.
Oh, my goodness. Did you have a little too much of the adult beverages?
A little bit, but it was hot in Iowa. It was 100 degrees, so hot one.
Did you know, this may be prying too much, but did you have a Bud Light?
I did not have a Bud Light. No Bud Light here.
Okay. All right. I'll leave it at that. All right, Emily, how can I help?
So I recently started a senior position a couple months ago at a new company, and the company is growing very fast across the country. I'm currently the only employee in the state of Iowa. But basically what's going on is since hiring 10 or so new senior positions in January, a few of those positions have already been promoted to management. And I know that's my next career goal for myself. So knowing that they've already promoted senior roles to management so quickly in previous instances, I guess, how can I advocate that for myself?
Yeah.
You know, knowing I've only been with the company for 2 months, I'm afraid if I don't put it out there and kind of speak up and let them know that's my next goal, that maybe they will overlook me for
I understand that. And I think that's got some decent logic to it. What kind of relationship do you have with your leader?
Really good so far. She's actually pretty new to the role as well. I think she's only been in, management about a year or so, but it's been great so far.
And where is she based?
She's based out of Virginia.
Okay. And how often do you talk to her on a given week?
At least 3 times. I have a pretty close relationship with her. There's, I think, 8 of us on her team, so it's a pretty close team. Is
there a role or two that you've got in your mind that you'd like to have, or are you just feeling this wave of, oh, there's a bunch of other people that have been here about the same amount of time that I've been here, and they got promoted quickly, and I just don't want to get left behind?
No, there is a specific role. So the way that they're expanding it, they don't have it listed yet, but I know that they're going to be hiring. They've already have a new round of, employees starting next week. And so they're continuing this pattern where they hire groups of employees every few months.
Okay.
And so I just know that with doing that, they have to have supervisors to, be in charge of those positions.
So the reason I asked the question is because I wanted to know if you have a very specific target. And I think you start with your leader and you just say to your leader, hey, listen, I just want to raise my hand, and I don't want in any way for this to come off the wrong way. Just be really transparent. Say, hey, I'm really liking it here, and I'm seeing all the growth, and I'm paying attention to what's going on, and I know there's some positions that are being hired, and I just want to raise my hand as a person who wants to climb, and I'll do what it takes to step on the next rung, and I'm not trying to force it right now, but I do want to say I am very interested, and I'm willing to do what it takes to get the opportunity to climb the ladder. That's how I would approach it. In fact, that's exactly how I would say it. But I would call attention to all the things that are happening and just say, look, I don't want to be impatient. That is, call it out. Call out the potential objections. I don't want to be impatient. And I want to earn it. But, and so I'm fine doing that, what it takes. But I'm seeing people get promoted, and I just want you to know I'm hungry. And I'm willing to hustle. And you come across in a humble way, then that's attractive. It's like, I'll give you a sports analogy, because everything with me is about sports analogies. Okay. So if I'm on a team, let's say basketball. That was my favorite sport. Okay. And let's say I'm right now the 7th or 8th man. So you start 5, you get 3 off the bench. And so I'm somewhere in that rotation, and I want to be a starter. Okay. My mentality has to be, I need to get noticed in the everyday, which in a basketball setting would be practice. Okay.
Right.
So in your everyday, that's your daily role, and you're talking, you're checking in, whatever kind of reports you have to do and all the communication, you are delivering on the now. Okay. So I need to win in practice. So that means a couple things. So when the coach puts me in a role in practice, I need to really crush it in that role. And he needs to see great effort, tremendous attitude. Okay? And if we get some good results as a result of the effort, but I don't always have to win the defensive drill, but the coach needs to see me trying my guts out.
Right.
And if I get some good results in the drill, even better. So that's the idea. I win the now, and I get noticed for winning the now. That's in practice. So now he's got some positive mojo in his head when he thinks about Coleman. And so now he puts his lineup together, and he goes, yeah, based on this week's matchup, would Coleman be worth a start? He may say no, but I might be the first one off the bench. And now all of a sudden I have incrementally got myself promoted simply by winning the now. Now that's one part of the analogy. The other part of the basketball analogy is to do what I just said, win the now, but also sit down with a coach after practice. Hey, coach, or can I come see you before practice or before school or after practice? Sure, Coleman. What do you want to talk about? I was like, coach, I want to be a starter. And I know that's your decision. And so I want to know where I stand. What do I need to do to be a starter, in your opinion? And then hopefully he tells me, well, you need to get better at shooting. You need to be more, aggressive on defense, whatever. And so now I'm looking at, okay. And so he's heard two things from me. He's seen hunger. I want to start one day, coach. And then he's seen some humility because I said, what do I need to do to win your confidence to be a starter? Now, I know my old man sports analogy is probably really boring, but that's about as good advice as I could give because that's the mentality for anybody, including you, Emily, getting promoted.
Perfect.
Does that make sense to you after all of that metaphor?
Yes, absolutely. It does.
I got to win the now and the opportunities I have in front of me, but then I got to sit down. And that's why you called. You said, how do I do that coaches meeting? And that's how you do it.
Yep.
And here's the deal. I want to prepare you for something. You may not get the response that you desire, and you may not get the response that you should get. Let me explain. A healthy coach is going to say, Coleman, I appreciate that. All right, I'll tell you what you need to do. And I'll tell you this. If you do those things, I will absolutely give you an opportunity to start and see what you can do. Now, that's a healthy coach. Or a healthy coach goes, I love that. Appreciate the spirit. You can do all these things, and it might get you in a position to start, but there's no guarantee because, to be honest with you, if you do all these things, you're not as good as the kid in front of you. Well, I tell you, our society can't handle that. But you're not always better than everybody else. And to me, sports has always been the great equalizer to go, you know what? I can bust my butt, show up on time, do all the things coach wants me to do. But at the end of the day, I'm not as good as a point guard as the guy who starts in front of me. And so then I've got to attach a better attitude to go, okay, what is my role and what can I be the best at? And if I can be the best sixth man, then that's what I'm going to do. So that's just the rest of that coaching there. I want you to go in there with a spirit of, I'm believing the best, but just because I do it the right way doesn't mean your leader is going to handle it the right way. And folks, that's important because, a lot of times in my space, people will say all this stuff on social media and they'll come on a show like this and go, do these 3 things and you're going to be successful. And I'm going to tell you something right now. That's half the story. Because you could do everything that I tell you to do and the leader not be healthy enough or, quite frankly, just have a difference of opinion and not see the value in you. So I want to prepare you for that, folks. Because what do you do then? You go play for a team where you're valued. You go play for a team where you're valued. There's an old story about a grandfather giving his grandson a watch. He said, son, take this into the jewelry store and see what they value it at. He comes back and it's low value. He says, well, then take it to the pawn shop. Comes back, it's low value. He says, take it to the museum. Comes back, he says, the museum wants to pay us tens of thousands of dollars. It's all about going where you're valued, where people see your value and treat you accordingly. This is the Ken Coleman Show. All right, folks, more policy coming out of D.C., which can further this inflationary situation. Because I comment on the world of work and finances as a co-host of the Ramsey Show, I get a lot of questions about this. In fact, I was on Fox News yesterday talking about this very issue. And so I'm going to let you know what I think about more political posturing in a presidential race that we are now facing and how it could affect our economy. And folks, I'm just telling you because I'm the common sense guy. You can do what you want with this, okay? I don't care if you like it or don't like it. I don't read the comments. I'll tell you this much. I want to make you think. So here we go. President Biden comes out, his Labor Department. They want to lift the threshold for salary workers to receive overtime pay. This would lift the limit to $55,000. And this would make about 3.6 million more salary workers, like your restaurant managers, your grocery store managers, eligible for overtime pay. Now, some of you are going, that makes a lot of sense, Ken. That's only right. They work overtime. They should be paid. Well, the government should not decide that. More on that in a second. And again, this is going to require you to use your common sense. Please try. Here we go. Acting Secretary Julie Su said workers deserve to continue to share in the economic prosperity of Bidenomics. Now, I'll leave it to you all if you think that we are in a season of economic prosperity. If you think inflation going through the roof and sustaining itself with a little bit of an up and down, up and down, up and down, you're out of your mind if you think that this is prosperity. So what does the Biden administration want to do in a prolonged season of inflation? They want to pour fuel on the fire. Now, wait a second, Ken. What are you talking about? Well, when you require businesses to pay overtime where they do not previously pay overtime, guess what happens? Anybody? Okay, listen, snowflakes, those of you that get so offended by this stuff. Listen to basic economics. If you require a small business, hotel, restaurant, whatever, to pay overtime when they previously haven't paid overtime to salaried workers who signed up for the situation knowing what it is, here's what happens. Number one, the business passes the cost on to you, the consumer. So there's more inflation. Okay? So what cost you $20 before cost you $25. The second thing that happens when you force overtime pay is companies will lay people off. So what's wrong with this Biden policy is they're going to push people out of work. But see, they don't care about that because it sounds good in a political presidential election. We're going to raise the lid to $55,000 a year. You can get time and a half. Okay. All right. Now let's think through that. Small businesses are the ones that traditionally rely on salaried positions in leadership roles. And they pay overtime to hourly workers, but salary workers traditionally don't get it. And again, this is not like some bait and switch. People understand this going in. America's small business men and women who are fighting for survival right now are the ones that are going to get hurt by this. Now, you could say, Ken, that's conservative, Republican. No, it isn't. That's just common sense. I talk to small business owners. I know what their challenges are. Now, this isn't going to go anywhere, just like I told you that Biden's student loan forgiveness wasn't going to go anywhere, and the Supreme Court shut it down. The Trump administration has already raised it. In 2019, the Trump administration raised it from $23,000, in 2019, from $23,600 to where now it's at $35,500. Obama tried to raise it to $47,000 and a judge blocked it. Real small businesses, real businesses will fight this. This is not a Democrat, Republican issue, conservative, liberal issue. This is an economic issue. And when politicians many of whom have never run a business, have no idea what it means to meet payroll, start meddling in things like this, they screw it up. This is why it's bad. Folks, if you want inflation to stay around, then just go for whatever keeps raising everybody's income artificially. And then inflation is going to stay around forever. Mark my words. I was on Fox Business just moments before my show went live today, and one of the questions that the host asked me was, Ken, what do we do about the student loan crisis? I laid out several things, but one of the things that I said, and I will point out right now, is, you know what we need to do? We, the people, need to wake up, and we parents need to stop buying the marketing lie that a college degree is the best way and the only way to success, because that's been garbage from the moment that they started that narrative. Our economy is changing rapidly, and the type of jobs that are available don't require a degree. Well, Ken, how do I do that? I'll tell you how. My wildly popular work assessment called Get Clear. It's a work and career. In fact, it's about self-awareness of you personally so that you could pick your direction professionally. That's what it's called, the Get Clear assessment. And we now have a student version, adult and student version. You can get it at kencoleman.com/assessment, kencoleman.com/assessment. Parents, we need to start there. You can help your kid figure out multiple paths that they actually enjoy in their teens. And for heaven's sakes, be open to a gap year. No, see, college has become about a rite of passage. It's summer camp on steroids, and it's breaking Americans. It's breaking Americans because of the crushing debt. And somebody needs to say it. I've been saying it, but some of you need to freaking believe it, but you're afraid to. Well, all my kids' friends went to college. Who gives a crap? Why does that matter? Well, they really like the lazy river. I don't care. You know, Alex, the producer, said to me today, you got to be 18, is that right, to get a tattoo? Is that still true in most states? What's the legal age for cigarettes? Do we know? It's a nasty habit. I don't know what it is. 18, whatever. Yeah, 21 to drink. I just want to give this. Let's just think about this, folks. 18 for a tattoo, cigarettes, 21 to drink. Okay? Societal norms. And we'll let 17 and 18-year-olds take out loans in excess of 6 figures. And we'll applaud that. That's smoking them cigs. Them cigs are bad. They'll kill you. Underage drinking, horrible. By the way, I agree with both statements. But we'll virtue signal on those things and go, hey, saddle yourself with generational debt. Yeah. Woohoo! Well, Ken, they're getting a good job. Doesn't matter. In our award-winning documentary, Borrowed Future, one of the people that we feature in the documentary is a dentist, for crying out loud. A dentist. Great job. If you like picking at people's teeth. Over $1 million in debt. Bone crushing. So spare me. Oh, here we go. That was all the setup, Alex. Headline, CNBC. 70% of college seniors with student debt say looming repayments will impact their career plans. Interest accruals resumed already on September 1, and now in October, payments will be due for the first time in 3 years. Folks, the pain is coming. I'm telling you, the pain is coming. You're going to hear people howling. What have you been doing the last several years? Well, Joe said. I don't care what Joe said. People with any brains told you that he did not have the executive powers to be able to do that. It was unconstitutional. Anybody with a brain, or anybody who cared to use their brain, I should say that. Over half of next year's college grads expect to carry student loan debt. And within that group, almost 70% say their debt will influence the jobs they consider after graduation. So let's pause. I know where this is going. Well, I'm coming out with student loan debt, and so I'm going to need to make $80,000 to $100,000. You're freaking 21. You've never done anything in your life. You can want to make $80,000 to $100,000 all you want to, Sparky. But if you aren't qualified to do it, I got news for you. It's not going to happen. And we're seeing this with Gen Z. And by the way, I love Gen Z. I'm raising 3 of them. Okay? Their expectations are out of this world. Why? Because parents won't tell them the truth. My kids say stuff all the time around the house, and I just look at them and I go, you're broke. You have no money. You exist at my pleasure. You're just a mean dad. No, I'm not. It's called teaching your kids some reality. I bought your car. I helped put gas in the car. Outside of going back and forth to school, you got to make the money to go hang out with your friends. Well, I don't even care. I'm already in the next room. I don't care. These kids want to make $80,000 to $100,000. Listen, I want a Lamborghini. I can want a Lamborghini all I want. If I don't earn the money, guess what? I'm not getting it. So these young people expect to work additional jobs to cover their debt. That's another thing. So we think we've normalized student debt to the point where they go, well, I can't afford it. So you know what I have to do? I'm going to have to work 2 jobs. And we wonder why people are burned out. Do you see the cycle, folks? Oh, wait a second. Let's just for a moment pause. And let's just say, parents, let's just say young people, that you're a person who realizes white-collar work isn't for you. You want to work with your hands. You've always been good at working with your hands. You love it. It creates results that you care deeply about. You are already attracted to problems that your head and hands can solve. And you know that a college degree isn't required. Carpenter, welder, plumber, electrician, HVAC. Do I need to go on and on and on? Oh, those are all outside dirty jobs. Okay, Buttercup. How about programmers, designers? You can sit in a nice office with air conditioning in your little loofah plant or whatever you call those things. It's not a loofah plant. I don't know what I'm even saying. You can have your little controlled environment without a college degree, 401k and all the things. Let's say you're that person. Well, mom and dad really want me to go to school. Sit down with mom and dad and show them an alternate path. Oh, by the way, they'll get over it once they realize you can take care of yourself. Mom and dad are just scared. They mean well. They're not bad people. By the way, it's your life, not their life. Hey, parents, if this is you and your kid, go, you know what? Hey, son, listen, we're going to stop putting pressure on you to go to the state school. And we're going to actually help you fund your trade school and let you do the thing you actually want to do because we're proud of you, because we acknowledge it. You're really good at fixing stuff with your hands. And that's honorable work. And why don't you get over it, parents? Because the degree has now become a status symbol. It's not a certificate of success. It's a status symbol. Now, I know it makes some of you uncomfortable, but I don't care. Going to 4-year school doesn't make you any better than someone going right into work. I have an argument with my neighbor the other day about this. Well, I think it's good for their critical thinking skills. On today's college campus, there's no critical thinking going on. It's groupthink. It's group sensitivity classes. Well, that Tucker Carlson or that person on MSNBC said something that's very offensive to me, and I need to take a day off of class. This is the kind of crap that we're dealing with, and you're telling me that is shaping our future generation better than just going to work? Why have we demonized the gap year? Hey, if the kid's out there working, busting hump, saving money, making money, figuring out what path they want to take in life, why don't we applaud that, parents? But no, let me tell you what you do. You push them to a school so that you can tell all of your friends that you're a good parent by virtue of the school that your kid picked. And I got to tell you something. they don't care, and nobody else cares either. Because the last time you went to the doctor, you didn't say, hey, doc, before you examine me and give me massive medical advice, do you mind telling me what school you went to and where you finished in your class? So why don't we act that way when we think about our kids' future? I'll tell you why. Because we've been programmed inside the matrix. And the matrix was the federal government and your state government and the college and university system that have colluded to market a message that says the best way to be a good citizen and a successful human being is a college degree. And that's increasingly less and less true. And I'm not going to stop saying it, because one of these days, somebody is going to figure it out. This is the Ken Coleman Show.
Thanks for listening to the Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.